Give me an S.
S.
Give me an I.
I.
Give me an L.
L.
Give me a K.
K.
What does that spell?
Silk.
Do you like silk?
Yes.
Today on the Quilt Show, it's all about silk, no cotton. Stay with us. Yay! And now, your hosts for the Quilt Show, Alex Anderson and Ricky Timms.
Welcome to the Quilt Show, everyone. What an exciting day we're going to have because we're going to leave the cotton medium of fabric behind and go into silk today.
You know, I fell in love with silk about 3 years ago, and I was using it my own way, but this is opening a door of possibilities.
Well, I believe that quilters, of course, we as traditionalists, we can be really married to our cotton fabrics.
Oh, yeah.
But the nice thing is the quilt world is so diverse that, of course, silk and other fabrics are really, really becoming popular. Our guest today really almost exclusively uses silk. I think you're going to be really amazed. So we want to welcome to the show, Tamara Leberer.
Welcome, Tamara.
Hey, Tamara.
Please sit down.
And I'm all goosebumpy all of a sudden because I said that, and I'm just looking at the
I know.
quilts, and I just love them.
Like, I think I'm going to go home right now and start looking at silk.
No. Stay around. So, first of all, where do you live?
Right here in Golden, Colorado.
Right. So we are in the Denver Metroplex area,
Yes.
and Golden is one of the neighbors. So you're right around the corner.
Yes.
Well, you will be teaching us silk fusion today. What is it?
Well, it's a fabric for me, but it starts out with just the silk fibers, and you lay them out, and then you add a textile medium, which is really like a glue, and that holds all the fibers together and lets the silk shine through. And
Is that something that's been around for a long time? Did you invent it? Is it something? Just tell us a little more
I
about
did not
that.
invent it, but it hasn't been around very long. It's probably, I think, about 1989. Now people have probably been playing with it a little bit, but that's when somebody really started, I think, experimenting with the textile mediums and the different glues and that sort of thing.
Okay, well, we're going to chat about that a little more, but let's let everybody see some of your quilts. And we're going to start with what you say is an early piece of silk.
Yes. So it's not that as a mixture. I know cotton is taboo today, but
No, be careful. You don't want to upset people out there.
that is pieced with both silk fusion and cotton that I dyed. And it is pieced. Most of my other art pieces here are fused. But that one is pieced like in traditional
But you're saying
quilting.
that's one of the earlier pieces, and from this, the whole process grew.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was just looking for a way to use the silk fusion. I loved it, but I was like, well, what am I going to do with it? Well, I can make a quilt with it.
Well, I'd like to go
Yeah,
to the next
absolutely.
two so that we could see immediately how it's kind of shifted and grown and changed.
Okay. So the next pieces we're looking at are actually a combination of some different fibers. There's a little bit of actual like silk organza layered between the silk fusion there. And that one is all edge pieces. Both of those are all edge pieces of the silk fusion, which we'll look at a
Now,
little bit
what is
differently.
edge pieces? I
Well,
mean, you may
it's
teach me
fringy.
later, but it's fringy.
The fringy area.
Okay, all right. That's good to know.
So how did you get into the silk?
Well, I was curious, and it just so happened that the outfit that makes or provides silk to make silk fusion is right here in Lakewood, Colorado also. So I was able to go right to her house and meet her, and we talked all about it. And I
that
was
is
in
who?
love. Susan Trinway with Trinway Silks.
With Trina
Is it online for those who aren't fortunate enough to live in this area?
It is. It's at trinwaysilk.com.
Maybe I'm kind of happy it's not in my neighborhood.
Yeah, but there's always the internet.
I know.
Well,
I
she
know.
does sell, I think, at stores.
So is it like imported and she sells it? How does that work? Do you know or not really?
Yes, I think I have a good idea.
Okay.
Most of the silk is imported from either China or India. She dyes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so it's-
how you get
The gorgeous colors,
Yes.
absolutely.
Got it.
All right, let's look at the next two pieces that are companions, at least in their style, their mosaic style.
So yes, those are mosaics, and those came around actually when I made an ugly piece of silk fusion, which is really hard to do. But this one was truly ugly. It just had so many different colors in it going every which way. So I was like, well, I'm going to cut it up because I do that. So I cut it up into little squares, and each of those little squares was just beautiful by itself. And so I started, playing with that. And really, it was the reaction that I had then once I started making the mosaics. It really had a...
I want to follow up just briefly on your quilting background. Did you come to silk through traditional quilting, the door of traditional quilting with cottons and traditional patterns, or were you on the fringe of quilting and somehow or another this art medium came? I'm just trying to figure out your journey was.
journey.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I did start out with traditional quilting. I learned all of the, applique, all the traditional
Techniques.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Techniques. And I loved it. And then of course, I wanted to start doing my own thing. And then I started seeing different fibers and just different fabrics, and that it was okay to use those. And
So, from my opinion, your work is beautiful, it's structured, it's well designed. Is your background in art, or do you come at it in a different way, through a different door?
my background is architecture.
Oh.
My sister was the creative one in the family. So I never really was an artist. I can't, draw a horse. Try to sit down and draw a horse.
But I would say you are
I've
an
learned
artist.
how, yeah,
And
but-
I have an interesting story to tell about your architecture, and this is really kind of really crazy funny. When Justin and I bought our land in southern Colorado, we wanted to do a nice retreat center and home, and so we came to an architect, and they were in Golden, and Tamara was part of that team. And so you would come into the meetings, and I didn't know you were a quilter. You're just in our meetings which has never been built, by the way.
Yeah.
And so all these years later, Tamara did come to one of my seminars at one time, so I saw you there, and then you were a guest here in the audience one time, and honestly, it wasn't through that connection that even got you on the show. It was through the producers and the other people that know stuff, and suddenly Tamara, our friend, our architect from 13 years ago, is on the Quilt Show. I mean, that's
It's
just
wonderful.
really crazy.
It's wonderful. Okay, I would like to look at these pieces go together, correct?
The two square pieces.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to call it. Yeah.
That one is silk squared, and it's really a lot like the mosaics. It's just one piece that I cut up into a bunch of squares and put back together.
And the next piece?
The horizontal piece. Oh.
That is one whole piece of silk fusion. So later on when I show you the silk fusion, it's one piece that was then quilted and embellished.
Do you work larger than that?
That's the largest I've worked.
Wow.
That's as big as my table is.
Okay.
Or my...
There you go. That will do it right
there's
there.
limitations.
My pill table, as my husband likes to call it.
And then the last piece?
That's another whole piece. So there's no applique on it. And then just a lot of quilting to highlight the...
And I love the directional quilting on that and how it relates to the entire piece overall. It's really, really well done.
Has crafting, I don't want to use the word crafting because that's not right, but have you always been interested in digging in and building and creating?
Yes, ever since I was young.
Yeah?
Yeah. We made clothing, not all of our clothing, but we made clothes, and I liked it, and I
From
was
what
proud
age?
to wear it. At least 6 or 7.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then,
really early.
knitting and crocheting.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of everything, anything I could get my hands on.
Nice.
Yay. Nice is right.
Okay, well, coming up, Tamara's going to teach me silk fusion, right?
Yes.
So excited.
Can't wait. Don't go anywhere. I'm excited.
excited about this process that you're going to be teaching us. You call it silk fusion.
Correct.
All right, so here is a piece that you've done silk fusion, right?
It's a completed piece. It's basically a piece of fabric to use.
Okay, and there's the back.
Completely different, which is important.
Right, and then behind us, this wonderful piece here, that's silk fusion.
That is.
And then what about, when did the ribbon get put in, or at the very end, or is it part of
the very end?
Okay.
Yeah, after it was completed, dried, and
embellished then?
Yes, that was just embellished.
Okay, so we all walked up to the table and preparing for this, and this is just amazing.
I agree. That's why it's such a fun
amazing
process.
It's so lightweight. The colors are just over the top, rich, you know? So this is stuff you've dyed?
Correct. These are hankies, and then we have these tussa fibers, and they're dyed by the manufacturer Trinway Silks.
Okay.
And she dyes them here in town, but they're very difficult to dye, so I wouldn't even attempt to do that.
So we're going to start with this, something that I could go online or go into her shop and purchase, or house.
She has an online.
Okay, go to the online.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so the tools we have here are quite unusual in my book.
Yes. Well, this is not a messy process, but it is wet. So I like to call it, well, my husband likes to call this the kill table. So we cover everything with plastic, but everything's washable.
Okay.
So plastic first, and then we're going to be laying our silk out between these two pieces of fiberglass screen, same screen that you have in your windows.
Screen
indoors.
door.
Yes. You get it at the hardware store, you get it on a roll, or you can ask for scraps from the local hardware store.
And this doesn't seem that expensive.
No. In fact, I had to whip out a new one just to come see you guys. I've been using the same one for the last, has it been 4 years?
Forever, okay.
For $1.
Okay, I can do that.
Yes, and then we have our silk rovings in any color you can possibly imagine. And we have the silk, those are silk sari threads. And they're leftovers from the manufacturing process of making silk saris.
But you can buy this like this on the website.
Also on the website.
Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Okay.
And then the one thing that holds all the fibers together is this textile medium.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a glue, but it's a little bit softer.
Where do you get that?
Also from Trinway.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what do we do? Time to play.
Okay. So this is really a layered process. We're going to lay out some fibers in one direction, and then we're going to lay them out in the other direction, and it's going to make it strong. Now you can do 2, sometimes you can do 3 layers, but I've just started, for my purposes, 2 layers is enough. And as you can see here, when I created this piece, the first layer I put down, if you can imagine, looked like this.
Okay.
And it's a little bit plain because I knew I was going to do the decorative portion on my top layer.
Okay.
So you want to keep in mind that the first layer you're putting down is really the background, and you might not see any of that.
So don't knock yourself out on this, on the back, but knock yourself out on this.
Yes, that's where you want to knock yourself out. And some people like to use the undyed fiber for the first layer because it's cheaper, but what I found is fully half the time, the back side of the piece actually is the best, is what I like.
Well, you were just reading my mind, because that's what I was wondering. Why wouldn't you just go use something that hasn't been processed with dye?
Right. Okay, so what we do is, this is a big, hank of silk, and it's very strong if you hold it close together, but if you pull your hands apart, it'll come.
Am I in trouble?
No, you're not in trouble.
Uh-oh. You breaking
We want to do it,
Okay.
but the point is you shouldn't have to fight with it to pull it apart. So then once you've got a nice hank there, I like to actually pull it apart to make it a little bit easier, just in half.
In half, 50-50?
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a little bit easier to, and are you right-handed or left-handed? Okay, so you probably are going to be more comfortable this way. So I pull it out here. We want to.
Are you right or left-handed?
I'm ambidextrous.
So what hand let's pick a hand and pretend like that's what you're doing.
Okay, this hand.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to pull it out flat here, hold it down just at the edge with one finger.
Like this?
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to gently pull.
Okay, like whispers of hair there.
Yes.
Okay, like that?
Yep.
Okay.
We want a very thin layer to start with, and then we're going to lay another one over the top.
On top of it or next to it?
Just next to it. We kind of want to fill the screen. We don't want to see the screen, but we want it to be smooth. We don't want it to be a bunch of hunks
This
of
stuff
silk.
is so beautiful. It's just so light and airy. I've got to tell everybody, okay, I am a mess.
Yep, it's a little hard to get used to.
Okay.
Usually once you put it down, you want to leave it down, even if it's a hank.
I kissed it during break and it all got stuck in my face. So don't
Yeah.
go kissing the silk, people. That's my warning.
And if it sticks to you, don't go put it on a bunch of lotion. That's not going to actually help.
Okay, this is a trained professional right here. This is somebody learning the process
It doesn't
right
take
here.
it doesn't take very long to get it. But so I know we need to finish one, so I'm going to quickly
Oh my gosh,
try
I'm
to. So then we just do columns. So I'm going to come back over here, overlap just a little bit. And, I honestly feel like this is a Zen thing. I'm pulling silk between my fingers. It's pretty luscious. So now I'm done. I'm going to.
look at that, you professional.
You know what? It's going to be fine, though.
Sure.
It's going to be
Keep
fine.
telling myself that. But it feels really good.
By your second column, you're going to have it down. I guarantee it. So I'm just going to.
I'll bet you didn't put hand lotion on this morning.
Well, this morning, yes.
Okay.
If you're having a really sticky time of it, sometimes, and I do have a fabric softener sheet, and you can rub your
Okay,
hands on
okay.
that, if that.
Alex,
Maybe I'm just sweaty and nervous. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not even supposed to be in here.
I
but
know.
You're not paying attention.
I always pay attention.
Look, I'm just going to show you. She is putting it down and holding it and then pulling it, and you're pulling it in the air.
Thank you, Ricky.
Okay,
You're
let's
welcome,
try
Brian.
again.
The audience is out there going, she's not doing it the same way. She's not doing it the same way. So I'm just trying to count.
Why don't you grab
get a little bit
another
more?
thing? Remember, hands wide apart.
Like this?
It should come apart easily. There you go.
Okay.
Now in half.
This way?
Yes. And now put the end down, hold it with your finger,
Like that.
and pull. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
She's an expert.
Pay attention to what the teacher is saying.
And then the hard part
Thank you, Ricky.
is
there's a
what
hard part? Okay.
Well, we get to the other end.
You just keep telling.
And we do not want our fibers to go off the edge of the screen because it's going to get caught in all of those.
Okay, cool.
And it's hard to do. That's the hardest thing for a student to do is to stay inside the edge. They just want to fill the
Okay.
whole screen. So what's going to happen is I'm going to come across from this
The other
side.
way.
Yeah. That's why I'm ambidextrous. I've had to practice.
Well, John took me golfing once, and I hit like a right-hander. So I think maybe you have to try both ways and see what really works, right? Maybe?
Right, and even if you're left-handed, maybe that wasn't the most comfortable for you.
I don't know, but I like it.
And if you can't do it this way, guess what? Just turn the whole screen around and go from that
Okay.
side again. Does that
So
make sense?
once you get it all going one way, then what do you do?
Okay, then we're going to put our second layer on.
Okay, so
Okay.
go ahead, I'm watching.
Okay, now I want it to go across this way. So all I'm going to do is grab whatever color I want. I do not have to use the same color, but I have it in my hand, so I'm just going to do that. Now, what I want to be careful of is that I don't drag the edge of this over the top of the silk. So you have to put that in your hand, wrap it up, make sure it doesn't. But you don't want to
because it'll
tangle
grab it, right? It'll grab it.
And then you just place it down and start pulling again. You have to be a little bit more careful because that silk underneath really kind of wants to move around.
I'm telling you, I love this, and I could see getting into this big time.
Okay, now give me a piece of your orange.
Right here.
Now see how wonderful that's gonna look right
Oh,
there.
yeah, baby.
And what's cool is you can see through it. It's still a very small fiber, so you can see the colors through it. Okay, do you want my blue?
Okay, so
I use those threads in almost every piece that I have. They are still silk, so it feels good to me to keep it as silk. But what it is a little bit of a pop of color. It's really, it's not just color, it's structure. So you just pull that out and add it in.
like just one little strand like that?
One little strand actually does work.
Oh, like
you
right
can
in
see
there.
that
Okay.
and it depends on how bold you want it to be.
Do you teach this?
I do.
I would love to do this. I mean, look at that.
Yes. But here, let's just put a little bit more in.
Okay.
So they can really see it.
Here.
Okay, and then there's one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
kinda
isn't
hard
this
to stop.
great, you guys? I mean, oh my goodness.
The other thing that I like to use in my silk fusions, so these are silk. This is silk roving, but we talked about the silk hankies, and they're just called hankies because they're shaped like a hanky. And this is an undyed hanky here. See, it's the same color as the cocoons. And then the dyed hankies.
You dyed these.
Yes, but so you can dye them yourself if you're into that. But Trinway also has dyed hankies that you can use.
So I mean, you don't buy those things.
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. And but you could use that. Those people use that in other kinds of art.
Okay,
but it's
from that
interesting to
comes
see.
this.
Yes.
One of these, all of these layers.
One of these this is probably 20 cocoons.
Oh, wow.
So that
Wow.
it really kind of opens up like a butterfly. What do you think?
Yeah.
Into different layers.
Oh, this is so luxurious.
And it's really actually very fun to use. If I were to, what is that one? Just pull one apart. It's a little bit fussier. I'm just going to pull it apart. And what happens is the edges, the edges are thicker
finished. They're
in
finished.
the middle. Yeah, I like to call it a selvage.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that's the technical name. But my favorite thing to do is to hold it like this, pull it through my fingers, and then I've got a little flower, and the main edges are
So how would you put it down there?
boop.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
So let's go to the next step.
Okay, so the next step is we're going to cover our complete artwork with the second screen.
Okay.
And you do have to be careful. You don't want to put it down and scoochy it.
All right.
Once it's down, it's down. Doesn't make that big of a deal on this size of a piece, but you start working on a bigger piece and it's hard to get it down.
Then what do we do?
Then we're going to get it wet.
Okay.
And we're going to use soapy water because the silk does not want to take on moisture.
Okay, so how much soap do you put in there?
I put a lot. You can put just a dime in, but I find the soapier the water, the longer your screen lasts.
I'm going to watch you go.
Okay. So I'm just going to mix it up, and you can do this, but I'm a little bolder. I'm just going to pour it on.
Wow. Wow.
And then I'm going to move it in. So again, the reason that we use the water is the water, we want, once we put the textile medium on, we want it to soak through all the fabrics, all the layers. And
So
sometimes,
you get the water on, and then you put this on?
yes, and that
Okay.
helps it move through the layers.
Okay.
So, boom, boom, boom.
And then you just paint this on the same way, right?
Paint it on the same way. You gotta go through the back.
Cool.
But then you put the fabric, that on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look over here at what it looks like. How long does it take to dry?
It really takes 24 hours to dry.
Actually, I'm glad we didn't get that wet. Okay, so in the morning, when you wake up, here's what you have going on.
Yes.
Okay, so then what do you do?
So, as I said, the silk is very strong, so it's a little bit hard to believe, but you can really, and you have to, sometimes really pull on it. Oh, that part I already started. But see, I'm really pulling hard.
Oh my god! I mean, you
Yes.
like
So-
really hard, you guys.
Yeah. Now, that's because this screen has been used once.
Okay.
So you can reuse them. And just pull.
So do they pull off easier once you've been used it a couple times?
Nope,
Wow.
it's easier the first time.
Oh, really? Oh, great.
Well, I didn't want to cheat and, just
Okay, so
say-
then the other side?
And then you have to do the other side. And so I guess I skipped that part, but usually I make a little selvage piece where I scoochy all of the fibers
Oh,
in.
so where's
and
it
can
here?
you see? It's right there.
Okay.
So see how it's all feathery over here on the edge?
So this is like a little lump right here.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier
Okay.
to see if you can do that.
Here, I'll hold you, pull. Oh, no, you do it.
So, what if you rip it? So what? It's got ruffly edges anyway.
That's
right?
true, too.
So I'm going to just stick my finger in and pull out. That's just kind of a trick.
Okay, so I'm going to have you pull it out completely as we go to break. And then when you come back, or we come back, you're going to show Ricky it's okay to cut this up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yikes.
That's the fun part.
Nice. Well, stick around. Let's keep going. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. We are enjoying our day with Tamara Leberer, who is silk artist extraordinaire. And during that last segment, Tamara, I was out with the audience and they're all, it was just
Wonderful.
all of that going on. And it's beautiful and it's spectacular. During the break, you were able to finish pulling this one off the screen. So let's show everybody how it turned out.
So this is what I'd call the front. And what's interesting is this is the back or the first layer, and I like that side
It's
better.
beautiful.
And really that happens 50% of the time. So
So you just trust the fact that you might like one side or the other, and it's
Yes.
like if I could just tell quilters, you've got a right and a reverse side to your fabric stash just
yes.
doubled. All right, so
Great idea.
now I'm the one that says I want to see the medium go on. So I'm going to rewind for a moment so we can see how thick that you're putting the medium on and how you're applying it. So go ahead and explain,
Okay.
do it and explain it to us.
So the last thing we did was put on water and soap. So you can see there that it's still a little bit wet. And we don't want to dilute our fabric medium, so I'm just going to pull a little bit off. I'm not going to do this.
Okay,
I'm just
not a
pulling,
big, just daubing
yes,
it.
We don't want it to be drippy.
So are you able to run your hand over this and kind of know that it's lost enough moisture that
Yes.
it's not too loose?
See, I don't have any beads of water coming out. So,
Okay.
So that works pretty good.
All right.
And then I'm just going to take the medium. I'm going
Oh,
to shake
shake,
it a
shake.
little bit. And you can put it on very gently, but I just...
Okay, and now is this safe, non-toxic, and all that kind of stuff?
I wouldn't drink it.
Okay.
Yeah, it really smells like glue. There are some other fabric mediums that are more like a varnish.
Right.
There is quite a line that you can experiment, and those are a little bit more
Okay. I only sense a faint smell right now.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And then I just take my brush and I work it in, and you'll notice that the whole piece will start to get a little bit white. That's the fabric medium, and it's also kind of the soap that we applied.
Yeah, it's getting a little fuzzy and
So
bubbly.
I'll move it through, and then I'll turn it over, add a little bit more. You can't put too much of this on, but you can put too little on.
Okay.
If you don't put enough on, the fibers in the middle will can break apart.
Now, another conversation that was going on during the break was someone had tried this, but their silk fusion was just really stiff and heavy. What do you think might have happened there?
Well, it could be that each layer was put down too thick. So you could do the layers thinner, and maybe there were more layers put down, and it could have been a different fabric medium.
Oh, okay. All right. And so
yeah.
I'm just going to say whose is this?
This is, I'm going to say it wrong, Jo Sonia, and I have tried a lot of different things, including like Mod Podge, and this is the best. And you know, you're working with silk,
Right.
and you want it to be luscious. You don't want to take any of that sparkle away.
And it
so
is luscious.
This is the best.
That's
really.
the thing. All right, so yay, that's going to dry 24 hours, and then you pull it off.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So now that we've gotten that out of the way, now we're going to play on a new game.
Yes.
We're going to do something different. This is basically mosaic, or you're assembling these pieces together. So I'm going to let you take the lead. What do I need to know about the products and the things that we're going to be using, the tools?
All right, so of course we just use whatever silk fusion that we've just made, and then you're going to want to apply a
Fusible?
thank you.
Yep.
A fusible to the back. You can use anything that you might have in your storage. But I just got this in the mail when I renewed my TQS subscription, and that was a free gift that I got, and it's called what?
Apple stick.
And it works great for the mosaics because when you pull it off the back, it's sticky. So I'm going to be cutting a bunch of different small little pieces, and when I put it on here, it's going to stick, and it's not going to fly away before I iron it down.
So for a long time, you did use another fusible product, which you liked.
I do.
But it didn't stick in place, so if the wind came by, it could mess up your design.
Right.
And this stays in place.
bumped it.
Even before
Yeah.
it's fused, it stays in place.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
All right, and this is going to come in later?
This is just tracing paper. Any kind of tracing paper will work. Anything that you just want to be able to see through it.
All right. Now, one other thing I want to show everybody are these two pieces, because you talked about the roving and the hankies
Yes.
in the last segment. Tell me the difference between these two pieces that we're looking at.
Well, this is made with rovings, and it's a lot more like linear,
right.
flowy. This is with the hankies, and it's more organic.
And you just kind of blotch it down rather than
Yes.
pulling that one. Is that
and
right?
The secret is this was my back.
This was your back?
That was my
Oh my
back.
gosh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And these little sparkly guys?
That is Angelina fiber. It's another wonderful embellishment to use.
Right.
And it goes down before the fabric medium.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the
Really,
limit.
I'm sure there's a million things I haven't thought of.
All right, I'm going to pull this guy over because here's where you're headed, right?
This is where we're headed. So it's not a picture of anything, right? I was just free flowing, and it's just a wonderful way to try and create. Just let yourself go.
All right, I'm ready to learn.
Okay. So you have pick one of those two pieces there, and we're just going to, I like to free cut. I think people look at the mosaics and they get afraid of all the little pieces. How can you manage all those little pieces? Well, quilters aren't usually afraid of that. But how do you manage all those little pieces? Well, I don't worry about cutting everything precisely. I will start with a piece of fusion, usually this size, and then I will use normally my straight edge to cut my first piece, and I want it to be about 1 inch wide. Oh, sorry, I think we're going to do the curvy
You want to do the swoopy curve
piece.
first?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the swoopy curve.
Yeah, swoopy curve. So I'm just gonna, doesn't need to be any specific shape. But that's a pretty good shape. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that shape.
All right.
All right.
What if it was a little too fat? Then what would we do? We
You
would
just trim some off?
Trim it off.
Oh, well, does this fray?
Oh no, that's why it is so great for mosaics, is silk fusion does not fray at the cut edges.
Which is nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I've tried this with fabric and it works, but it's not as crisp. So we have the fusing on the back. This piece, we're not going to subcut this. Let's just pull that off.
Okay. So this is just
And
going to
it's
be a
sticky.
unit. Oh, it is. See, it's sticky. It'll hold on to me.
Yeah. And put it on your head.
Yeah.
And then just
What
really.
are you saying? What are you saying, Tamara? What are you saying?
I don't know. I got in trouble there. Okay, just go ahead and place it down anywhere.
Okay, now let's start. You've given me one with some lines, and yours doesn't have any lines on it.
Correct. And I would normally work with a piece that has lines on it, because I want to work towards a border, and I want it to be straight at the edge, and I also want to leave a little on the outside of my fabric so I have a variety of ways to finish it. If I want to add a binding, if I want to add a border, if I want to wrap it around
and stretch a frame.
A stretcher frame.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
then I have
cool.
options. Okay, so he's down.
All right.
We have to iron it if we want it to be permanent, but it's in place. So the next thing we're going to do is just take a rectangle. So I'm going to cut a strip that's an inch.
Can I change my fabric for this one?
Yes, please change your
Okay.
fabric. And if you want a straight edge, you can use a straight edge. I usually do
So
for
this
this
is a
piece,
straight edge.
but
Well, no, actually,
forgot
the
to pull it
caveman
out.
guy here would never use a straight edge unless
Okay.
he really had to. So I'm going to say that's close enough is good enough, and I'm just going to chop that off. Does that work?
Yep,
All right.
that works. Okay, so then now what I plan to do is maybe cut this into 1-inch squares. So I'm going to subcut it 1 inch down the way. But because this is so sticky, if I pull this backing off and put it down on this mat and cut, it's going to be really hard to pull
Every
it up.
single piece is going to be stuck to the mat.
thing.
All
Yes,
right?
and it sticks really well, which is great. So we're going to pull it off, but we're going to put it right back down. And sorry,
That's okay.
we might have to share this.
That's fine. We can do that.
But see how it just overlaps a little bit? It doesn't have to be straight.
Oh, wait. I see what you're saying. So if I pull off the back and maybe even just reposition it on the back.
The two things we don't want to do is to subcut it and then have to pull each
I get
tiny
what you're
paper
saying.
off. But we also don't want to, yes.
See what I did? I put it back on the back, and you're saying put it down.
Yes.
And now that I put it down, I can pick it up.
Yes.
But it's
You'll be
going
able
to stay in place while I cut.
Right.
Yay.
Okay.
Fabulous.
So I'm also going to subcut this freely. So I'm going to put it straight. And
I'm
then
probably not going to follow the teacher, so go ahead. Because
Okay,
you know me, I'm
good.
going to be the renegade here.
I want to make squares. So I'm just going to start here, 1 inch squares.
Oh, because see, you kind of cut 1 inch. I didn't cut 1 inch. See, I'm already flunking.
Well, maybe you could cut like 1/2 inch rectangles.
I will. Or can I
Okay.
go zigzaggy back and forth in trapezoidy?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Trapezoidy is a word, by the way.
After you cut, and you can start cutting now if
Okay.
you'd like to, I'm about done. But do not start pulling. You want to leave your design in place.
All right.
Because what happens is when the continuity of the piece of silk fusion is what kind of holds the design together. So even though we're going to be stretching it out and putting it into pieces, we still want them to relate. So it's a little less busy if we keep them all in order.
Right, and the flow of the color will stay there.
Yes.
Okay, so I cut, and they're kind of weird, but that's okay. You show
so
me what you're doing.
Here we might need our
Tweezers?
Our tweezers.
Yeah.
So we're going to pull our first square, and we just remember that the next one, which way it wants to lay.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so we can use. See, now I can easily pull that off. Well, you did it even better than me.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. My
Sorry.
fusible stayed over here. That's not fair.
Oh,
My fusible needs to go right
Yeah.
there. Stop laughing at me, you guys. If you were up here.
we have lots of options. There's no one way to do this. We could use this line here as a guide to do our line up our squares, but I'm going to make a whole new design. I'm going to start here, and then
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to do the same. Can you bend it and kind of twist? Do you have to keep it in a
Yes.
straight line?
No, so I'm going to make another curvy line here.
Oh my gosh.
Now we don't necessarily need our tweezers here, but if we were working on something that was smaller, we might want our tweezers.
I'm telling you, this one little piece right here has got me. He's not wanting to stay, but that's okay.
Okay, technicalities. It's going to be
because
fine.
the rest of it's working out really good.
And after I lay this all out, if I decide, oh, that piece of the curve is too steep or not steep enough, I can come back here and just move it around, make it a little bit steeper.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do that.
So that's why this sticky stuff works so nice.
I do. I love that. All right, now, so we are going to continue building our design. I think that, Tamara, from our little chat, that you've got 2 more little special things that you can show us, and there is no reason why we can't do that when we come back after the break and continue making our little pieces of art. Because not only do you do it like this, but there's ways to do real mosaics. And now that we've got this design, you're going to have a pattern or something to fill in the space, right?
Yes, and I will be happy to show you how to do that.
Woohoo! Okay, everybody, you having fun today? I am too. Don't go anywhere because we're going to continue this process right after the break. Woohoo! On the next quilt show, all Alex wants for Christmas are her granddaughter's 2 front teeth, so she can put them in this wonderful tooth fairy pillow. Learn how to convert children's artwork into meaningful projects.
Plus, see the bright and whimsical quilts of Jill Findley. She has applique tips that will have you stuck like glue to your screen.
A lot of people do this technique with little tiny irons and it takes forever. So use a big iron because you've got a big surface area.
And don't miss what she's doing with bias tape.
Make a date for Fun with Fabric on the next Quilt Show.
We are continuing our play date with Tamara, and I'll tell you in the break, it's so much fun because the energy just keeps building and building and building, and the audience wants to play and the crew wants to play. So I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of silk fusion addicts after today.
Well, I hope so. I'm glad that it's as interesting to you as it is to me.
Well, we're going to continue this process because we're working improvisationally, and the 2 things that we've just done are really not that challenging as far as the design because you put it down. But now I'm looking at yours and mine, and there's starting to be some structure. And if we're going to do real mosaics, we're like cutting out every single piece of fabric and trying to make it fit and then going, oh, it's not fitting. So you're going to give us a tip on how to fill in these negative spaces.
Yes, so this is right here, a negative space. And what I'm going to do is use this tracing paper, and that one's yours, right?
I don't know. I don't have my name on it.
And I'm just going to put it right over that space, and we want to be able to see through it. That's the whole point, so that's why I use any kind of tracing paper that works. I'm going to just pick up any kind of marking utensil. It doesn't have to be special chalk or anything.
I've got pencil, you've got pen.
And I'm just going to trace around those spaces. Now, Ricky, when you're doing it, make sure that you leave a little space of black, so you're not drawing right on top of the element, you're drawing just to the inside.
Okay.
Because we want that black to show through. It'll make a little more sense.
When I started it, I was a little bit too close, so I'm going to kind of move away from it.
Well, if it's not perfect, we're going to have a chance to trim it, and it's not going to be a huge deal. These are all easy steps.
Okay, then what?
So then I'm going to take my shape, and I'm going to place it on top of the Silk Fusion that I already have prepared with Fusible on the back.
Okay.
And then I can place it where I want it. So if there's a bunch of different colors happening here, I could tell where they're happening.
Yeah, because you can see what's going on.
And I'm just going to hold it in place. I'm not going to cut twice. I'm going to just cut right through the paper.
And it stays put for the most part?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, how accurate does this have to be? I mean, fairly accurate, I'm sure.
Fairly accurate, because we want it to fill that shape.
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell, I'm not a perfectionist. I like to be careful, but I sometimes will get too bogged down being perfect. So
okay, now you've made all this effort to make this Silk Fusion. I now have a real question that everybody's asking. Oops, that didn't get quite cut. But, okay, so now you're waiting for my question, aren't you? The question is, what about some little guy like this? You know, this little leftover bit right here, because it's precious.
Almost everything.
Yeah,
I
so
do
that
save
guy.
almost everything, and
Yeah.
that could be subcut into a piece,
Okay.
or it could be added to a different kind of art
All right,
piece.
cool.
Yes. So now we're going to test it. We're going to just place it in the spot, and for example, mine is going a little bit over here, so I'm just going to use my pen again.
Well, mine's perfect.
Of course it is. But just in case it isn't. Now
I'm messing with you, right?
I'm just going to trim that off now.
Okay.
And of course we want all of the pen marking to come off.
Okay.
And now I like it. Now it's a little better. Well, it's
Okay.
really kind of a little bit
They
bumpy, but-
fit.
Okay, so, but that's kind of boring, a big blob in there. So what I like to do is subcut it, and you can cut it like this, you can cut it like this. One thing I love to do is, like on that example over here, is just kind of flay it around
I'm going to bring this
way.
over just so that you can show what you're talking about right
Yes.
here.
So if you can imagine, this shape is somewhat like that.
Hey, Alex, look at all this amazing stuff.
I know. Keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I need to pull
You're
the
gonna
backing
wanna
off,
do this.
Oh, I am doing this.
but I need to use it. So I'm gonna just offset it a little
This
bit.
right here, this little technique of pulling
Yes,
off
I
the
love
back, this is like one of the, you know, this round of tapings, there's been about several of those guys. Everybody that's watching the Quilt Show needs to watch every episode
I
because
know,
there's
just
been
like
some
these aha
amazing,
moments.
aha moments. All right, so
Okay,
I've done it.
so now I
I stole.
sharing.
Here you go. Which one do you want?
I don't care.
Okay, you go
Either
there.
one. All right, so now I'm gonna subcut, and I'm not gonna get too over anxious about it. I'm just gonna start going like this. And I'm gonna leave it there. I'm telling you, if you move these out of place, it's really easy to
All right, so I'll do
lose
mine.
track.
You be sorry.
Yes, it's a puzzle.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
going this
I know.
way. All right.
So it makes it interesting.
Yep.
Okay, and so then, now if we place this in here, we wouldn't have any black
There's no
in the
negative
background.
space in
so
this.
we do have to cut one little piece, one little slice off of each piece. And when they're so...
Do you do all that one at a time, or do you just start building?
I
Ricky
like
started building.
You go ahead and start building.
Okay. Do you cut off of the same side each time?
Not always.
Not
Sometimes
always.
I've cut a piece that's really big, so I'm going to cut off both sides and
Tell me
stick-
about the background that you guys are building on. Is it silk, cotton, what?
Cotton.
Okay.
It's just cotton. I'd imagine you could use silk.
Do you need to pre-wash to get rid of the stuff that's in the cotton?
I always do. I
right.
think that's a good idea, yes.
And then my question.
What happened there?
I don't know what happened there, but I'm not going to worry about it.
Well, I wonder
We will see, because
if we forgot to
Oh, did
follow
I-
our directions.
I'm so glad that yours got screwed up. I just can't begin
do
to
you
tell
think
you.
that mine's supposed to be at the top? Do you think that's the top?
I think maybe, yeah, you got
Oh, do you
turned
think
around.
this is the top? We turned it around. Alex, thank you for pointing that out, because I was perfect a moment ago, but it really went south real fast.
We
All
got
now,
distracted.
Tamara, there's a little thing I want to ask you, and that is about the color or the word gray. I was told to ask you that question.
Well, we have a little bit of a family joke. It's really a joke on me. And that is that I seem to be the only one that thinks that there are different colors of gray. So one day, my brother-in-law, a bunch of us from the family were hanging out. My brother-in-law said, "Oh, I just saw a Great Dane walking down the street." We all kind of want a Great Dane. And I was like, "Oh, what color was it?" And he's like, "Because there's lots of different colors of Great Danes." He said it was gray. And I was like, "Well, what color gray?" I mean, because there's blue gray. Even in a dog, there's blue gray, green gray. And they just looked at me like, "What are you talking about? It's gray." And so anytime anything artsy comes up they don't understand, they say, "But what color gray?"
Well, I think gray does have shades of undertones of all kinds of stuff. So I'm with you, Miss Artist.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you, sitting out in the audience, everybody's like out of their mind over this process today. So thank you so much.
Okay, yours is pretty. Mine is messy, but I'm
Caveman.
learning.
Oh, it looks good.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
And well, I'm sorry.
Pull this
I've
one
got to
over here,
show this
okay.
one more time because this is the beautiful. This is just fabulous.
So, Tamara, you do teach, right? And travel and all that good
Absolutely.
stuff?
Yeah.
Any wish place you want to go?
Say Ireland.
It'd be so awesome to go to Ireland.
Yeah, so let's,
Yeah.
all you Irish people, you want Tamara to come. You Scottish people, you might like that too. Oh, I don't know, Australia, New
Oh, yeah.
Zealand.
The world's
Would you
your
be
oyster
happy?
plate.
It is. You guys need to just go onto
And
Tamara's
I
website.
also was flipping through this book. It's beautiful. The instructions are well written. The pictures are clear. And so, you know, I would strongly recommend this book.
Okay,
Thank you for a wonderful day.
Wonderful.
You guys in the audience, have you had fun? Listen to that yes that they've got going. Everyone, thanks for joining us today. And remember, it's a new day every day.
Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss the after set.
Tamara, it's so much fun when we have guests on the show because sure, we're demoing things and we're about your career and all that, but there's so much more depth to you. And I think one of the things that I would say is that you're fearless and or you're willing to walk through doors of opportunity, even if you don't even know what that opportunity is going to be.
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, and I know that that wouldn't have come out in the show so much, but as we talk to you and as our producers have talked to you, it's just all of this like an onion that just continues to reveal itself. And one of those things is how you even came to your art as it is now. Tell us about that.
Well, I used to have a teaching studio, and we taught all kinds of classes from traditional quilting to really a lot of art quilting. And I had lots of different teachers. It wasn't just me, but when I was working on a piece of art, it was usually to come up with a new class idea. And although I have closed the studio, and it was sad, it was also kind of good because I started concentrating on art. And I think the art started really coming out of me because I didn't have a specific class in mind.
So you could just create.
Yes.
And has that been rewarding then?
Yes.
And you're able to relate the ending of this with the beginning of that.
Yes.
But you're also willing to face challenges, or like if you see something like the koi pond. Okay, tell us about your koi pond.
Well, I have a pond in the backyard. I decided I really wanted a pond, but they're really expensive. So I went to a class on how to build one with a bunch of firemen and landscapers and little old me. But I learned how to do it, and so I went home. I started digging the hole, and
There you go.
it's 2 feet. It's all lined in granite. There were like 2 pieces that I needed some help with.
All right.
A third person, of course, my husband helped.
All right, and so also another little piece of the surprise is that you're a musician.
I am. Well, I know how to read and play music.
Right. And what instruments are you playing?
I started with the piano, and then I picked up the clarinet. And then, as often happens when you're in the band, they need somebody to play the oboe. You don't just decide, I want to play the oboe. So I was that person.
Right. And I know that, of course, I'm a musician and that it totally relates to my art, visual arts. And you were in the seminar, and there's a story that I had no idea. So share the story of how the music and all that also came in to where you are now.
Okay, so I think I took your seminar back in 2004. It was a maybe 3-day seminar.
Was it at the School of Mines?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So
Yes.
that was a long time ago.
Was it a super seminar?
It was a Ricky seminar
Okay.
before you were there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so part of the seminar, you're up on stage showing everything. I know you know how it works, but there's a grand piano on the stage. And I'm like, well, that's funny. I mean, I know you're a musician, but I just figured it was too big to move. But no, you incorporated the piano into really everything that you taught us. But there was one thing that really, really spoke to me. And so I'll try to describe it, what happened. But you just sat down at the piano and you just played a little riff that was beautiful. It was just beautiful. And then you said, no, I've never played that before. And we're all like, right. But then we believed you. Yeah, you'd never played that before. But I know, this is you speaking, I know that once I play this, then this other chord is going to come off of that, and maybe this rhythm is going to, and I just know that from my training. And then you said, and that's how I design quilts. And it seemed so crazy for one moment, and then I was like, of course, that makes perfect sense. That is designing. That's exactly how you design. And it all came from the music, and it just made perfect sense to me. And it was very big.
I think the lesson that you're giving right now is be willing to look out there and step through doors of opportunity, because you don't know where it's going to take you.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's why I do like new experiences. And,
I'm all about the I can and not the I can't.
yes.
Yeah.
And I really think that there's anything, and honestly, because even though you were on the team way back when, I had no idea that inside of you was this can-do person with willing to change and shift and grow and whatever.
And she just got a real estate license. But
let's add
anyways,
that to it. Yeah, let's add that to
So
it.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming today.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you for
fabulous.
Good
having me
stuff.
on.
And all the best with everything you continue to do.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for inspiring me for so long.
You're welcome.